Hi guys, welcome back. Today we have a complete overview of Season 8, covering new operator abilities, the Sineva Rework, Play as Saeed mode, new weapon stats, the new shotgun that can be equipped in both the primary and secondary slots, the Space City overhaul, the new Boss Hudson, quality of life updates, and much more. So without wasting any time, let's jump straight into the breakdown. First up, we have the new support operator Lena Meir. In my previous video, I mentioned that she might be German, but many of you correctly pointed out that she's actually Dutch, based on her name, and you were absolutely right. Lena is 27 years old and a trained doctor with expertise in clinical medicine and drug research. We already went over her abilities briefly in the last video, but now we finally have gameplay footage, so we can see exactly how she plays in real combat scenarios. Let's start with her ultimate ability, the Butterfly Rescue Drone. When activated, it deploys a swarm of drones that automatically begin rescuing any downed teammates within a 55-meter radius. Once the rescue process starts, you'll see a prompt along with a progress bar. When that bar fills up, you can activate Butterfly to move in and complete the revive with automatic healing. The revive range is capped at 10 meters, and it requires direct line of sight, meaning it won't work through walls. This makes her ultimate incredibly strong during team fights, as long as your teammate doesn't go down in a completely unreachable position. On top of that, her ultimate also has a 20-second active defense system that protects you from incoming grenades, making aggressive revives much safer. It has a 120-second cooldown and lasts for 20 seconds. Next up is her second ability, Nanomedical Dust, and this one is honestly insane. Think of it as an evolved version of Stinger's Hive Tech pistol, but taken to another level. It deploys a medical drone that locks onto you or a teammate and continuously heals them. The healing speed is extremely fast. Based on the test server, it takes roughly 1.5 seconds to restore full health. In theory, this means a teammate can go from being downed to revived and fully healed and ready to fight in around 5 seconds, which feels borderline overpowered right now. Of course, all of this is still subject to balance changes before the global release. Moving on to her passive skill, this one extends the bleed out timer for both downed and dying teammates, giving you significantly more time to revive them. In Warfare mode, her ultimate cooldown will be reduced every time she rescues a teammate. Also, she can revive teammates in the prone position just like Stinger. Finally, we have her throwable, along with an additional ability where you can hold V to see your teammates' positions and health status. I'm not entirely sure how much value this adds since we can already see them, but it's still a nice bonus. That said, the real highlight of her is the smoke grenade. This is hands down shaping up to be the best smoke ability in the game. As I explained in my last video, it's essentially a guided smoke grenade. By long pressing the left mouse button, you can manually control its direction mid-flight. If an enemy is holding a strong angle, you can completely block their vision with that. Right now, the controllable range is around 100 meters, but because it carries momentum, skilled players can push it out to 150 meters or more. This makes Lena incredibly easy to use for beginners while still offering a very high skill ceiling, especially with her smoke grenade. I fully expect to see some insane support plays and clutch moments with her once Season 8 goes live. Next up, we have the Sineva Rework, and honestly, I'm already not a fan of this one. Let me explain why, but before that, there is one change I actually like. When rescuing teammates, Sineva can now deploy his shield as cover for both himself and the downed teammate. This is genuinely a solid improvement, and makes him far more viable in a lot of combat situations. Now let's talk about what I really don't like. The changes to his ultimate ability. During his ultimate, Sineva can now switch to his weapon without putting the shield away. On its own, that idea isn't the problem. The real issue is how fast the weapon swap is. If you get caught by his hook during the ultimate, you are basically dead. On top of that, while firing a weapon during his ultimate, Sineva also receives around 10% damage reduction, which just makes the situation even worse. To balance this, the developers only reduced handling speed and hipfire accuracy while the ultimate is active, and that's nowhere near enough. If these changes go live as they are, Sineva is going to be everywhere next season. I fully expect some kind of tweak or adjustment before launch. I'm not against the idea of letting him switch to his gun without exiting the ultimate, but something has to be done about the hook, because once you're grabbed, it's pretty much game over. And to all the Sineva mains out there, don't get me wrong, I don't hate you guys. I just want the game to stay balanced, without one operator being clearly overpowered compared to the rest. By the way, you guys can rate the Sineva Rework out of 5, with 5 being the best and 1 being the worst. Now let's move on to the final changes made to Space City 2.0. Starting with underwater supplies, nothing has changed here at all. They haven't increased the loot, so underwater looting in Space City is still pointless. You're only getting those 6 low-value loot containers across the entire water area that we talked about earlier, so honestly, don't even bother. However, they did add something new underwater: sharks. You can encounter around 2 to 3 sharks per match, but right now, they're not very threatening. They deal barely any damage, so I'm hoping this gets adjusted before the global launch. Interestingly, you can actually execute the sharks if you time it correctly. Just press F to trigger the execution animation, and once the shark is dead, it drops a loot box that you can loot. They've also added a small but very important change under the bridge: a ladder. You can now swim across and climb up using this ladder, giving you an additional way to reach the launch platform. Over in the dock area, several new containers have been added. The 2 corridors in the CEO area have been expanded, as we talked about earlier, and this is what they've been transformed into now. The CEO's office also has bulletproof glass installed, making close-range sniping more effective. On top of that, a ventilation duct has been added that leads directly outside, just like we discussed earlier. Next, the printing area now has a zip line, adding an extra route for quick and aggressive pushes. The black chamber has received 3 additional boxes along with a new pathway, which makes rotating through this area much more convenient. Over at the test range, a zip line has also been added, giving you a solid counter against anyone camping the lever. Outside the centrifuge, there's now a small passage that could be especially useful in tournament scenarios where teams need to decode mantle bricks to secure the win, since there's a decoding station located here. However, the Buoyancy Lab's water filling mechanism is still inactive on the test server for some reason, which makes me think the developers might be hiding something there for later. That said, the new pipe in this area can still be entered, and it's extremely strong. You absolutely need to be careful around it, because right now, that pipe is honestly overpowered. Now that we've covered everything on the GTI side, let's move over to Havg's side, where we have a brand new boss, Hudson, Director of Energy Efficiency. He's the only boss in the game who actually has a full entrance animation, so let's take a look.
You needn't trouble yourself any further, Commander. My name is Hudson, Havoc's Minister of Efficiency. From this moment forward, I am taking full and complete control of this aerospace base. GTI, you would be wise to stay out of my way and not waste my valuable time.
Pretty cool, right? Once the animation ends, Hudson's minions will spawn from this spot on the north side of the dock area. You'll be dealing with 4 elite soldiers, along with an automated vehicle similar to the one Dismu Lands has, but this one is even more dangerous. The vehicle comes with an active defense system, meaning grenades are completely useless against it. And that's not even the worst part. It fires electric arrows and incendiary grenades, so good luck trying to counter it. If that wasn't bad enough, the elite soldiers themselves are even deadlier than the Warden's guards. In simple words, you peek, you die. If you somehow manage to eliminate all 4 elites, the vehicle will automatically self-destruct. After that, you'll need to loot them to obtain the access keycard required to fight Hudson. Once you swipe the keycard, a 30-second countdown begins. Do not stand near the door when it hits the 10-second mark, because the explosion will break every bone in your body. If you're too close to the door, you're instantly dead, so make sure you stay in cover when the blast happens. Let's assume you survive that too. Now comes the real challenge: fighting the final boss. Hudson is as relentless as the Warden. He can instantly headshot you even through smoke. The good news is that he's relatively slow, so with proper team coordination and smart utility usage, you can take him down without getting your squad wiped. Once defeated, Hudson drops an M4 and a gold inhaler, which honestly makes it seem like he has asthma or something. Inside the room, you'll also find a computer, a large safe, and some minor supplies. One important thing to note: if you open the door and delay engaging the boss for too long, Hudson can actually run away. Since this is still the test server, we can't be 100% sure this will remain in the global version, but it's definitely something to keep in mind. At the moment, if Hudson spawns, Demolands does not, and if Demolands spawns, Hudson does not. How this will work on the official servers is still unclear. Another interesting detail from the entrance animation is that 3 helicopters land on the west side. After that, Hudson's personal guards exit the helicopters, and once they arrive, Demolands' original crew immediately squat down in a corner and get disarmed. Next, we have 2 new weapons coming in Season 8. First up is the MCX Rattler assault rifle. This is a .300 blackout caliber weapon with a fire rate of 730 RPM and 34 base damage. On paper, these stats look fine, but the problem is its armor penetration, which is only 29. For comparison, the K437, which uses the same caliber, has a 780 RPM fire rate, 34 base damage, and 35 armor penetration. Because of that, the MCX ends up feeling very underwhelming. You could honestly say this is the only weapon from the test server that we don't have to worry about being broken. Right now, it's simply too weak. That low armor penetration means when you're shooting the same tier armor, enemies will often survive with 5 hit points, forcing you to land an extra shot, which can easily get you killed in real fights. Now, on the other hand, the new shotgun is going to be strong. Earlier, I mentioned that it's a version of the SPAS 12, and many of you pointed out that it's actually a completely different weapon, even though it shares similar characteristics. And you guys are correct about that one too. This shotgun is called the FS-12, and it's the first weapon in the game that can be equipped as both a primary and a secondary weapon. While that sounds cool, it's also a bit pointless. The game already lets you carry 2 weapons, so you can't realistically run an assault rifle, sniper, and shotgun at the same time, unless you're sitting on billions of assets. But it might be viable for warfare mode, I guess. Either way, the FS-12 has a very unique mechanic. It can switch between burst mode and semi-automatic mode. In semi-auto mode, it has a fire rate of 300, dealing 14 damage. In burst mode, the fire rate drops to 71, but the damage jumps to 18. For practical use, I think the best setup would be carrying 2 ammo types, slug rounds for burst mode and dragon's breath for semi-auto. This weapon has a lot of room for creative and innovative play, and I'm really interested to see how players break it once Season 8 goes live. Next up is the Play as Saeed mode. In this mode, you can enter different maps to hunt GTI operators, but there's an important catch: you must bring your own gear. Currently, a test server ticket costs 200,000, and you can bring 2 teammates with you. Your teammates don't need tickets, but they do need to be fully equipped. To make this mode more immersive, the developers added a short animated sequence showing Saeed somehow climbing aboard a GTI helicopter, eliminating all the agents inside, hijacking GTI equipment, and then landing. At this point, you can basically consider Saeed a full GTI operative. He can loot, open keycard rooms, and extract just like a normal operator. Right now, Saeed has 3 abilities. One that summons minions, the next one is a flame crossbow, and the other is the combat roll. His abilities are very powerful, especially his ultimate, which allows him to summon a machine gunner, a flamethrower, a shield bearer, and 2 normal soldiers. On top of that, these minions provide real-time map information, and you can actively control them, sending them anywhere you want. This makes Saeed incredibly powerful for map control, pressure, and information gathering. When you play as Saeed, I mentioned earlier that you can bring 2 teammates with you. One is a flamethrower, equipped with a flamethrower and flashbangs, and the other is a rocketeer, carrying rockets and smoke grenades. And that's basically the core of this mode. After extracting, there's also a separate ranking system, but the test server doesn't currently explain how it works. We don't know if it's tied to exclusive rewards or progression yet, so we'll have to wait and see. Because of time constraints, I'll be making a separate video later to break this mode down in detail, so this video won't end up being too long. Next up, we have several quality of life updates. First, in the inventory, a quick room card management system has been added. You can now view all room cards directly in your stash along with their durability, making management much more convenient. Each map is clearly separated as well. However, on the test server, you currently can't see whether items are bound, which is a bit disappointing. Hopefully this gets optimized for the official release. Another nice improvement is the expanded marker wheel. When you long press the marker button in-game, an improved marker wheel appears. It's no longer limited to attack, defend, or retreat. You can now request specific skill usage from teammates, and the options change dynamically depending on which operators are on your team. For example, if you have Lena or Stinger, their abilities will appear on the wheel. Numbers are also clearly labeled, making communication much easier, like asking for a trap, smoke, or healing at a specific location. Even though it is a small change, it will definitely help. especially when you play with randoms who doesn't use mic. There's also a new movement customization option. Now you can decide how you would like to move your character with your keys. For example, with Viron, you can now choose how directional movement works, either 4-directional or 8-directional. If you want precision and fewer accidental inputs, 4-directional is the way to go. If you're confident in your keyboard control, 8-directional gives you more freedom. Drone controls have also received improvements. If you've ever struggled with the sensitivity of Uluru's loitering ammunition or Raptor's silver wing, this one is for you. You can now adjust drone sensitivity individually, which should make controlling them much smoother. And here's another small but excellent optimization. Previously, when you prone against a wall, your feet would often stick out, making you exposed to the other side of the wall. Now, when you prone near a wall, your character automatically changes their gun-holding stance so your feet stay hidden. I feel like pro players might not love this change, but for casual players, it's great. And hey, now we can actually see the skins we've bought. Personally, I think this is a fantastic little detail. Let me know what you think about it. Finally, we have new red item inspections and newly added items for Season 8. Let's have a closer look. And that's everything we have from the Season 8 test server so far. So I'll see you all in the next one.